was just reading here in John 10 about the Good Shepherd. It got me to thinking. In the Old Testament, the shepherd, the famous shepherd, is King David. Everyone loved King David. Everyone thought so highly of him. In fact, he was the beloved one by God. And then it got me to thinking here. In John 10, it talks about that Jesus himself is the good shepherd. And in John 10:11 says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And then he goes on down to 14 and he says, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. It says right here, it talks about how his flock knows his voice. Any good shepherd back in the old days, not like today where you have dogs that herd all the sheep together. It was the shepherd who went before, and he would call the flock to him. And his flock knew his voice, and they would follow. And so Jesus is saying that whoever hears his call, whoever hears his word, whoever reads and will follow. And that is just so beautiful to me. Just to know his voice and that it just will make my heart want to follow. It's beautiful and how true that is. But there's something that kind of stuck out to me because he said it twice. Actually, he said it several times. That he would lay down his life for his sheep. I don't know about you, but there aren't too many people that I would lay down my life for. Yes, my family, my close personal friends, but not just anybody. And just the whole image of a good shepherd laying down his life reminds me of a story of a Christian dentist by the name of James Reddick. And he had two children, a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old, and he wanted to teach them the beauty and the wonder of God's wildlife. So on one Memorial Day weekend, they decided to hike a mountain. And what happened was they were in pretty high elevation and a storm blew through. And it wasn't just a storm, it had hurricane force winds. But it wasn't rain and lightning and thunder that was the kind of the storm. It was a snowstorm. A very heavy, wet snowstorm. And it caused a whiteout. And if you've ever been in the snow that's it really snows hard, it's hard to see. And so this father knew his family was in trouble. So what he did was he used his aluminum plates to carve out a tunnel. And he placed his daughter and his son in the sleeping bags and put them as far away from the opening of this tunnel as he could. And then he had a tarp. And he put that tarp over the opening to protect all three of them from the winds. But what was so bad was this hurricane force winds kept tearing the tarp off and away. And so he physically had to lay his body over the tarp in order to keep the children safe from the wind and the cold. 2 days later, some searchers, rescuers were looking in the area for them. And they found a little bit of a backpack kind of poking out of the snow. And they immediately knew they had found this family, and they were hoping that all three of them would be alive. The daughter and the son both made it out alive, but the father, who had laid his body across the opening to hold that tarp and to keep his children safe, had died in the elements. Christ did that for us. He knew that we were in harsh storms, the storms of life. He knew that there was such temptation and such scary things out there. And he knew he had to protect us. So he did what he had to do. He died for us. He protected us with his own body to save us, to allow us to live. And that to me is just awesome. Who would have ever thought that somebody like Jesus would die for me? Because he loved me and cared enough for me to do such a thing. Well, I hope you have a good day. God bless.